Welcome to another episode. What are you reading? What are you writing? A weekly video podcast features creatives, writers, and readers, and we come together to talk about books. I am your host, Karen E. Osborne, author of 4 novels and counting. I am so glad you're here. I think you're going to enjoy our next guest. I am so glad that you have returned. Hi. And you are going to love meeting my guest today, Nancy Moses Bennett. Hey, Nancy.
Hello, Karen.
I'm so glad. I'm really excited about us talking about this because I do a lot of fiction authors, but
Mhm.
it's so wonderful to have somebody who has, and because of my grandkids, I mean, I'm really excited about this for my littlest one. Love children's books. And this one is children and parents. So let me just tell you a little, and then Nancy's going to tell you all about it. So she has been a speech language pathologist for 30 years, 20 years,
40.
40 years. And her book, Building Vocabulary While Playing, is for parents and children to read together. And we were just chatting before we came on camera. And a lot of the things that she does is for every age. So she's going to tell us, people who have all kinds of issues with communication. So she's going to tell us all about it. So, Nancy, tell us what the inspiration, why did you decide to write this book?
My main focus was communicating with parents. I'm a parent, now a grandparent. And I was fortunate that my children and the children in my lives don't have any significant delays. But then you go to school, you learn about delays, you learn about helping people learn to communicate. And my focus was mostly with children, but I have a lot of experience with adults. The next book will be a little bit more about adults and then a few more about children. When I realized as a young therapist, 20 something, started in New York City because I grew up there, first PS 134 in Queens. Um, I recognized that if you could reach a parent, the kids do a little bit better. And it's not usual for speech therapists to reach out directly to parents. You're in a school, there's maybe 80 kids that you're servicing, back then 70. Now it's more like 50 or 60. So the time for like a teacher, she's got 20 kids. You can't really reach to every parent. However, they
Mm,
have a meeting with you every year. So every year you sit down and you update goals on the child's individual education plan. So the children that see me have an individual education plan. They're part of the ESE domain, exceptional student education. So they're children that have been noted with deficits. And usually if they're seeing me, it's a speech and or a language deficit. So you meet with parents once a year to review those IEPs and you go over the goals, you write new goals, progress, and then they're out.
mm,
Sometimes, reaching out to a parent or giving them something at one of those meetings. Here, try some of these activities. They're interested and they, oh my goodness. And some parents take it home and you can tell that the kids are practicing. So they come to therapy. Wow, you learned some words and you learned some sentence structure.
yeah.
So those are the parents that, wow, it works. So I offer it to every parent. And when I'm in those IEP meetings, I will say, if you want to come and see how I'm working with your child, now this is what I'm doing currently. Back then, I just handed them stuff. If you want to see how they're learning, and I would meet with them at 4 o'clock after school. So they just come pick up their child and come to my room. And I say, look what she can do. She's doing this, this, this. We're working on this, this, this. Here's a folder with some activities. Maybe 1 out of 20 parents appear and come in. Most
Mm,
don't. But the ones that do, boy, do you see gains in those students and the appreciation for the parent. And parents don't appear for different reasons. So there's no judgment.
yes,
I'm a
yes.
parent.
People have
We
jobs,
have
people have,
all been.
right, right.
And as mothers, we know that that is
Yes.
not always possible. And so there is absolutely no judgment. But if you can come in and I can show. But I can't do more than that as a speech therapist. Now, the age of COVID, we were able to do some Zoom sessions. So I can offer a parent a quick virtual conversation now, which is wonderful. It's a good thing that came out of COVID, was that
Mhm.
we had to learn how to do therapy on the screen and how to reach parents. So I've always been parent friendly. When I go into a meeting, what does that mom need to hear? What does she not need to hear? As a parent, You don't want to hear, okay, we already know that the child got 2 or 3 referrals for misbehavior. Can we just get on to, something positive?
Yeah.
I always
So
made
how
sure.
did so how did this wanting to connect with parents and support and help parents turn into I ought to sit down and write a book?
Right. I started with something called Teachers Pay Teachers. It's a website where you can create things. So you get on your little Canva, you make a worksheet, and you can put it up for sale. But it's not a way to really reach parents. It's reaching teachers. So I decided, okay, you can give some of these forms and these papers that you've created, and Canva is a wonderful thing. I have these beautiful, designs. I'm thinking, well, why don't we just try sending them home? So I'm printing it in color, not in black and white, and giving parents these pictures and these
Mhm.
simple activities, a little folder with some things, or I photocopy some other things that are valuable. And the parents started to really love it. And then with my small private practice, a very small private practice, I can give those parents a little more attention and a little more of the activities. But the more I gave parents, the more a lot of them were just, this is fabulous. Yes, we're using it. Kids would come in and say, yes, we work in the folder. Some kids would come in and say, no, I haven't looked at the folder with my mom. Again, no judgment, but some kids are loving it, some are not. You never know who you're going to get that really wants to use it and is using it. So I
Mhm.
just said, here and there, I'm picking and choosing families that I'm going to share this information with. And it's just been something so phenomenal. So I thought I really should put all of these ideas, or, a good portion of them, into one easy book. And my idea would be to let teachers use it and to put it in my school library. And I'm making a connection there with the librarians in the district to see if they would put 10 copies in for kids who are in speech therapy. Maybe the moms would borrow that book and go home and do some activities.
Yeah, yeah. So can you give us an example of what I might find in the book? Just
Yes.
give
And
us
as we're meeting, the book is ready to publish. It's almost a hit go, but it's not, the link is not up yet. But
no,
what
it
I
is up.
have
It
done,
is up because by the time people see this, the link is
exactly. So that's the reason why I'm showing you a folder with the pictures, is what I'm getting at.
Gotcha.
I don't have the
Sorry.
actual book in my hand. Okay.
Yes, yes.
So that's coming. And yeah. So I have pictures that I created and activities. Now, if you can share the screen, I might be able to pull it up and share a screen, or we can just do it like this. So, like,
Yeah,
I believe in building vocabulary by um, categories. So if it's a spoon, it's a kitchen utensil. Where does it go? It goes in a drawer in the kitchen. So we're just constantly elaborating on things. So here you have some pictures of things in the kitchen and some question cues at the bottom. What do you see? What do you do with it? Do you have one in your kitchen? What else can be in a kitchen? So a mom can then just start the dialogue there. You may not have all these things in your kitchen, and it may look different. There's eating utensils and serving utensils. So right there is a vocabulary word that now we can talk about utensils. You serve food with some and you eat with some. So I've just built something there. It's a fork, it's an eating utensil. You give the category for whatever it is you're talking about. So we have in the kitchen, we have in the bathroom, um, we have in the bedroom. And then I go to categories like vehicles. And, what vehicles have you ridden in? And they're all named and they're alike because they're all vehicles, but they're very different. Helicopter is very
yes.
much like a motorcycle because you can ride them and you can go places, but they're very different. One is ground and one is air and land. So not land for the helicopters, air, primarily air. But then you have trains going on tracks. They're ground vehicles, but they go on tracks. So just describing. Then you look
Mm,
them up. If you don't know what a hot air balloon looks like, because you haven't been in one,
mhm,
pull up a YouTube video, hot air balloons. So the child then gets the
mhm.
concept, and you can build that vocabulary and the definition better if you see it in action. You
That's a
know,
great idea.
Oh my goodness. And all the work trucks you see out there, I'm in an area where there's a lot of development going on. Oh,
Mhm.
there's a crane. Let's go look it up. If it's not moving actively, you can't watch it. You can see it, or you see the dump truck going by. Let's pull it up on a video and YouTube kids, beautiful videos that are kid friendly. Now
I
you know what
love
it
that,
is.
Nancy. I
If
really
I
do.
say thingamajig, you don't know what a thingamajig is. I can say, well, it's something you do this with. Well, if you see it in a picture and in action, you've got it.
I do love that. My 5-year-old grandson is struggling, and I never thought about do it because so I buy him books and we read, but I never thought about saying, "Well, let's look it up on YouTube," because he would love that. That's a
Yep.
fabulous
And
idea.
they have
So
kid-friendly vehicles, with music
yeah.
behind them, just people actually working. You want to get away from the cat with the hat or the cow swimming, a cartoon. You want to look for those real opportunities to describe. You're not going to see a cow dancing with a hat, but you would on a little video cartoon. But the cow in the pasture with the farmer milking it,
It's
now
real.
I have an idea what a cow is. I
Yeah, yeah. I love that. So, when you were and now I love the other thing I just love is that you just kinda threw it away and you said, "But the next book and the next book." So you were already thinking about what's gonna come after. This one is just out, and you're already thinking, have you started on the next one?
I have the information on documents, so I have to pull it together. So I
So what's
am.
gonna be different about the next one?
Well, for the children, now I'm going to go into multiple meaning words that's not in this book, but that's an opportunity when you're reading a book and everybody knows the panda bear, what do you see? I see a blobbity blob, whatever, right? So there's a part in there that struck me one day while I was reading it to kids. I see a water buffalo charging at me. And so before I turn the page, they don't know what a water buffalo is. It's not a typical animal. And if you're dealing with 2 to 7 year olds, some may have an idea and some may not. But if it's charging, like, what does charging mean? And they only think about
Mm,
charging a cell phone. Well, they charge cell phones, they charge their video games, they charge all kinds of things, remote control cars. They don't recognize you can charge, an animal can charge, running at. So I
running
think
at a person can charge.
then we have the swiping of a card and you can charge at somebody also. So there's so many meanings for the word charging, and if you get to the point where you're now reading for comprehension and you're taking those state tests and you see the man was running for office, well, are you picturing this, or you're picturing
Mm,
a candidate, or you're picturing somebody in some kind of an election running, water runs, we run for office, we run with our legs. You run a meeting, the principal runs a school,
yeah,
running
yeah. That
multiple
is
meaning words.
awesome. It's
And so the
really
next book
awesome.
will charge with that. This book has got categories and it has also sentence structure. So when a student says, I'm hungry, I am hungry. Can you say, I am hungry? So there's a bunch of pictures to practice. I am running. I am hungry. So there's two ways to use am with another verb like running. I am like an auxiliary. And then there's a state of being. I am happy. I am tired. I am cold. And they have to learn it. And children will say, I cold. I hungry. I thirsty. They have to be
Mhm.
stopped. You forgot your am. Sometimes I'll put it on a sticky note right in front of them on their desk, and then we review a few more, and they know they have to say am now. So
Yeah.
parents and caregivers, and there are adoptive moms, and parents in transition, foster moms. Oh my goodness, we have everything in the public schools now. Um, you know, Immigrant children, migrant children. People are being raised not always by mom and dad. And it's not always a
Yes.
good thing. Sometimes it is a good thing because sometimes they do need a place that's better than
Mhm.
what mom and dad
A
can do.
safer place. Yeah, a better
Right,
place.
right,
Yeah.
right. So I acknowledge that in the book. It's people caring for children that can use this. You might be a babysitter that works with a child 12 hours because mom is working. This is a great
Yeah.
for a babysitter, and
Mm.
anybody can use it because it's very friendly. The dialogue, and not the dialogue, but the text is very easy to absorb. And I give you ideas on how to simplify things. Everybody remembers that old memory game where you turn 40, 50 cards, 100 cards down, and you got to pick them up. Well, you could turn over 10 at a time and leave them face up. And kids can start matching them and talking about them and giving them categories. So it doesn't have to be this tedious thing, which when you're a brainiac or, you're really into memory, you want to do it two at a time, but you can do 10 at a time. You have an older kid and a younger kid playing, simplify. So this gives you a variety of activities that you can simplify. Chess could be played with two pieces, or you just move one along until you get used to moving it. You checkers could be six checkers. You don't have to have 12. You don't have to overwhelm with lots, right? You just simplify.
Wow. Well, your enthusiasm is infectious. You've
Well,
got me, and you've got me thinking and thinking. This is wonderful. One of the things this show is what are you reading? What are you writing? And so, are there other books out there for children that you could recommend besides your own?
Definitely. And what I like is action books, books that tell us or give us things to do. This is Spot the Difference. I think this might be, well, this is easily available. It doesn't have the publisher right here. That's so weird. I thought it was like under a highlights category. You know what I mean? You look for highlights books. Remember, we played
Mhm.
with highlights, right? I mean, it's an old book, but now they have a Spot the Difference. And so you look at one page, then you look at the other, and you try to talk about what you see going on. The categories would be animals in this page, but also plants, trees and grass and flowers. They're all plants. So we're learning categories, but we're also looking to study what's going on in each of the pictures and comparing and contrasting.
And what
This,
age is that for?
this book's probably from 3 to 7 also, but it
3
could
to
go
7.
up. If you have a struggling learner or your child has a learning disability or a language impairment, it has no real age. If a big brother can help a little sister with something like this. So I like these books. And then I like sticker books too. Right? These are really cool. So there's all kinds of stickers at the back that you get
Oh,
to
yeah.
in different scenes in the book. So this is called the first 100 words sticker book. They have a lot of books, first 100 words. So it gives you 100 words and ways to practice using them. But the action involved with these books
With the
is so fun.
stickers.
Yes, the movement and the action.
Excellent, excellent.
And
Well, we are just about running out of time here. That is awesome, and, you've really I hope she's gotten you all thinking, because she certainly got me, Grandma Karen, all thinking and thinking as my littlest one struggles a little. This is wonderful, and,
there's so many things that are fun to do.
there are. So if people want to purchase the book, if people want to find out more about you, how can people be in touch?
Well, I have there'll be a website set up and it's Nancy's World of Words. And that is
Mm.
my email, Nancy's World of Words at gmail.com. And I do give advice to parents and I can send people links and I can send people pictures and some things that are free. And I do offer some consultation, but there's also some things that you could join in a parent conversation, ask a speech therapist. I will be doing some things like that, video chatting with parents also. So
This
we
is wonderful. This is so cool. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that we have lots of parents and lots of grandparents and aunties and uncles online, and this has just been delightful. And thank you so much for being my guest. And thank all of you for joining us today. And if you're in touch with Nancy, please tell her that you met her on What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing? Until next week, everybody, have a great, great week. Bye bye.
thank you.